Thanks again for tuning in to yet another video of Infamous, coming at you live from the West Coast yet again, San Jose, California. So I'm just giving you guys a follow-up review of the Powerjames flared windshield on my FXRT fairing, or FXRP. So it's been a while, it's been a couple weeks. How's it holding up? You guys saw the install. I'm not sure if you guys seen the install, but it's a little tricky to install it on my fairing. Like I mentioned in the install, I'm not necessarily sure if this is the way it fits on most of the fairing options, of course, because you have different options. You have TCMT, you have Dominator, which is the one I got, you have RWD, you have Villain to Hero, you have Ghost, I believe Ghost Composites. I mean, there's just so many different options out there. So JD Customs, Deviant, the list goes on and on. A lot of people offer this FXRT. So as far as fitment, unfortunately, I can't really tell you guys if it's gonna fit. I mean, if you own a JD, or you own a Villain to Hero, or you own Deviant, or if you own what's it, WOS Designs, you know, there's just so many options. So as far as the fitment, I don't know how it's gonna fit on your bike. But if you saw my install, I had to, of course, drill a few holes, or drill 2 holes on my bike so I could make it fit at the end. So you guys are gonna have to see the install, or you know what, we'll probably pull over somewhere and then I'll show you guys what's up a little bit more in detail. So anyways, here we go. We have a green light. Yeah, we have a green light. So anyways, fitment on the Dominator fairing, it wasn't great. Okay, keep in mind, like I said, it's a knockoff version of the Klock Werks, and it's half the price. I also mentioned in the install that I did get a discount on the fairing, so I got it under $100, and I got it fairly quickly. All right, so as far as the price, $100, there's gonna be a little bit of some cons. So as far as the finish, if you guys saw the unboxing, it had a little bit of a wrinkle finish to it. I'm not sure if it's because of the stretching process, or if it was because of the finish. I mean, these are minor little details, guys. I'm really nitpicking here. So as far as the tint, you know, it wasn't perfect. Like I mentioned, it's $100. It's not a big deal. And like I mentioned, as far as me comparing it to the Klock Werks, I'm only using the feedback that I see on the Facebook group, on the FXRT fairing Facebook group. So everything that I'm drawing from the Klock Werks is just posts off of the Facebook group. So whenever I mention issues with the Klock Werks, fitment issues with the Klock Werks, that is based off of the feedback in the Facebook group, depending on the fairing. Because like I said, they're all different. If you guys seen my Klock Werks FXRP fairing, I believe as far as fitment and that windshield, that flared windshield, you would have to get it with Klock Werks so you could get a nice fitment to it. Like I said, on this one, it is a little bit uneven. You guys would have to see the install where one side of the fairing is actually a 1/4 inch shorter. I'm not sure if you guys can probably see it. You can see that this side's a little bit longer. Then if you look at the left side, you'll see that the windshield ends about a 1/4 inch short compared to the one on the right. I've also mentioned in the install video, this is stuff that most people will not notice. All right, you can't see both ends of the windshield at the same time. You're not going to pick up on it. This is stuff that I didn't notice myself until I started laying down lines for the paint work. If you guys seen my paint job, so that's when I started noticing how uneven the fairing is, as far as, you know, it being perfect or whatnot. I also noticed that the flared is not as persistent as the Klock Werks option. It's a little bit more tamed down. So I don't know if that's going to add as far as increased wind protection or as far as improved buffeting. Like I said, half the price, but as far as the flared design wise, I think it's not as flared as the Klock Werks. But it's really tough for me to compare it because I haven't ridden with the Klock Werks, so I really don't know how does it hold up against the Klock Werks when it comes to wind buffeting and protection, because I haven't ridden one with the flared windshield from Klock Werks. So like I said, as far as painting it, I believe it seemed like the flared is not as even on both sides. I believe it's a little bit more flared on the right side. On the left side, it's a little bit more flat. But I mean, this is stuff that, like I said, no one else will notice. All right, nobody else is gonna notice. I only noticed it when I started, of course, sanding it and prepping it and laying down my lines. That's when I started noticing these minor imperfections. As far as the install, like I said, I did have to drill some holes. I also had to widen the holes. If you guys saw the install, I had to widen the holes because my holes, well, not my own holes, but the holes on the Dominator fairing did not line up with the Powerjames. All right, so the Powerjames windshield holes did not line up with the Dominator FXRT fairing. So that might be something that you might find yourself dealing with, even with the Klock Werks. Like I said, based off of the feedback, people did have to drill into the fairing, depending on the fairing. Like I said, JD Customs, Deviant, you know, it really depends. Dominator, I think Dominator was consistently one of the ones that you had to drill the holes, because it's always short. The holes on the Dominator are a little bit closer to the end. And like I mentioned, we'll pull over. All right, we'll pull over. I'll give you a little bit of a recap at the end. But you know, getting on to the fitment, the feel, the wind protection, the improvements, I really didn't have any issues with the Dominator version of it, which is the cutout. It's got the cutout on the Dominator. If you guys seen the Dominator fairing, it's got the cutout. I believe it's more for the for your turn signals, and depending on how tall your bars are. That's what I believe. But my bars are tall enough where I don't have to relocate my my turn signals, which I have them down here. So you know, like I said, as far as wind protection and buffeting and all this other stuff, I really didn't have that problem with the Dominator windshield. The only reason why I got this windshield was because I like the way it looks. I like the flared look of the Klock Werks. I didn't want to pay the $150 plus taxes and shipping, so that's why I settled with this one, with the Powerjames. I like the way it looks. I like the flared look to it, and I also wanted to paint it. The Dominator windshield, it's a little it's different. It lays flat. It stretches into the positioning of it. So painting that, of course, without a special additive on the clear was going to be a little bit tough. So that's why I settled on this one, because it's stiff. There's no stretching, there's no bending of the material. I was able to, you know, paint it and not be worried about the clear cracking or stressing or, you know, something like that when I'm reapplying it. So that's why I went with this option. So anyways, that being said, as far as improvements, wind buffeting, anything like that, I haven't had anything as such. Like I mentioned, the windshield that comes with the Dominator is fine. There's no improvements as far as wind buffeting, or am I experiencing wind buffeting now? No, I'm not. I'm not dealing with that. Of course, I also have the lowers. You guys can see that I have the lowers, so I don't know. As far as the lowers, I don't think there's an issue with that, but I rode the bike without the lowers for a little bit, of course. Probably not enough time to really give you guys a good idea, but I didn't notice a difference between the other one, the stock Dominator cutout, and of course the Powerjames. I didn't really notice much of a difference to noise and wind buffeting because I never really had that issue. Now, that being said, it really depends on your size and on your helmet. There's a lot of, you know, different things that can add to buffeting and wind noise and stuff like that. Okay, my size is a big factor. I'm 5'7". All right, I'm 5'7". I have a medium. I have a small. No, sorry. I have a medium helmet on. As far as the footprint of my helmet, I have the Mod Bandit, so it's very tight, very close to my skull, I believe. So I don't experience much wind buffeting or excessive wind noise. You know, with the Simpson helmet, there is a lot of wind noise, but I'm not experiencing anything additional when I have the windshield. So for $100, I like I said, I like the way it looks. And you know, I also like that it's $100. Okay, and that's, you know, the benefits of it. As far as the some of the complaints, addressing some of the complaints from Klock Werks, supposedly, like I said, this is based on posts. This is not first-hand experience. Some folks were complaining about rattling, something like that. I know some of the Klock Werks have a trim molding. They have a trim molding on the windshield, so I don't know if they forgot, because I did see the images. I saw the images. It looked like it was missing the trim piece. I don't know. Like I said, this is just based off of posts. So the Klock Werks, the guy that had the Klock Werks, he was complaining about the rattling, the noise coming from the windshield, especially when he started getting up to highway speeds. I don't have any of that. There's no noise. There's no rattling of such kind or anything like that with my Powerjames windshield. It, you know, it's pretty good. I like it. I haven't had any issues. So as far as, like I said, complaints, you know, nothing like that, of that kind. And I believe that's probably because of the grommet style mounting on this. You really have to see the install, but there's a grommet with this windshield that really encloses the windshield from the rear and the front. So it is a little pain to get it in there, but like I said, when I installed it, I actually made those holes wider so I could line up the holes on the Dominator fairing. So let's go ahead and just pull in. Let's pull in right here real quick, so I can just show you guys. So I use my own hardware. Powerjames, they don't provide the hardware for the windshield, so I did have to get the well nuts, and I also had to get the bolts themselves. So you guys can see right here, these are supposed to be alloy, but for some reason they're rusting. Like I said, I keep my bike outside. I don't have a garage, so the bike stays outside. But you can see where the old mounting area on the Dominator was. You can see it right over there. You can see I have washers trying to hold the grommet into place, because like I said, the hole, I did widen it out, and I had to use the flat washer to kind of hold the grommets in place. But you can see here's the old mounting area. From what I understand, like I said, I believe most people that have the Klock Werks end up doing this, you know, drilling out a hole. These are the holes that did not line up, so I widened these holes so I could have that little bit of a play. But what is that? Oh, it's a dog screaming oddly. But here you can see, I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up, but you can see it's flared out a little bit more on this left side, and this side's a little bit more flat, so it's not really consistent on the overall design. And like I said, you can see it from right here. I could almost put 2 fingers in this area. You can see my middle finger and then a little bit of my index. So that gap. Now, if you go over to this side, you can see the difference. See? It's about, you know, a finger size. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up. But you can see it's a lot tighter. All right? I can't put 2 fingers. Just 1 finger. And the other side, it's a 1/4 inch shorter. But like I mentioned, you're not going to see that detail. And as far as, you know, rattling, I believe it's because this grommet, you know, you see how thick it is over here. You have that same thickness on the backside of the windshield. So it's the wheel nuts and everything, it pinches the windshield in between these 2 rubber mounting points, which is the grommet, which keeps it, you know, pretty solid. A little bit of a squeak. Not sure where that's coming from. But, you know, like I said, you're not provided with the hardware. You have to provide your own hardware. You do get the grommets. Like I mentioned in the install, as far as the Klock Werks, it is different. I believe the holes are tighter. So, you know, that would be an issue. If you can't, of course, widen the hole, and then depending on what you have, well, that's a big bug. I'm not sure what that is. But, yeah, I mean, that's going to be an issue if you can't line up these holes. The only way for you to really get this to line up, you would have to, of course, do body work. You would have to seal the holes and then re-drill your mounting area, because you can't drill next to a previous hole, because then the wheel nut's not going to do the job. You would have to get underneath the fairing to kind of, you know, apply something for it to hold properly. It's the same thing with sheetrock. You put an anchor and then you drill right next to that anchor. The anchor's not going to do the job, because it's relying on the area around it to kind of pinch and hold. So if I were to re-drill my fairing to line up with the windshield, it's not going to hold. So that's, you know, that's probably one of the issues as far as what I'm guessing would be the Klock Werks, which is a little bit more precise. Like I said, the Klock Werks, you don't have these grommets that cover up the massive hole. I'd say this hole is probably as big as this washer right here. The hole here. And from seeing the Klock Werks, you really don't have that tolerance or that play for you to kind of move the stuff around. So, you know, it really depends on you. As far as, you know, the 250, like I said, if you want it more flared out, or maybe if you want a different you know, height, I believe this is 8 inches or 9 inches, I believe. Like I said, I believe it's a little bit more flared out, so it looks a little bit more aggressive. This one, you can still see a little bit of that bend here, but like I said, you know, this side's far more flared out than this side over here. This is really kind of flat, but it still has that overall, you know, look and design to it. I haven't washed the bike in a few weeks, or maybe a month or two. The bike's filthy. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, $100. I like the way it looks. Like I said, I don't think it's giving me any real improvements as far as clearance wise. I think if you don't have anything taller than, you know, 14 inches, which is what my bar sits at, then you'll have to relocate your turn signals. Right now, you know, if my risers were, I'd say probably 8 inches. Yeah, if my risers were 8 inches, I'd probably have to relocate the turn signal. So if you have 10-inch risers with mid-bend bars, Are these high bend? I can't remember. My overall bar height is 14 inches right now. So if you're probably at 12 inches, then you'll probably have to relocate your turn signals if you're wondering. And I don't understand, in the Facebook group, people have no idea where to put them. You could put them in here, or you can mount it right here. This is where I would connect my 360 cam. There's a bolt here. All right, guys, there's a bolt here. You could put your turn signals here in this area. You could put them here, or you could put them here. Your turn signals, if you really want them, you could put them right there or there. Not a big deal. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. That is my review. Overall, funky install, but you could do it. Missing the hardware, of course, the bolt and the well nut. You're missing that. But if you have this fairing, there's a good chance you already have those bolts and the well nut, so you probably don't need them. Because I believe most of these aftermarket fairings, you will get the those components provided with your kit. It really depends. If you like the rubber mount, the grommets, maybe you want it a little bit cleaner, probably go with Klock Werks, like I said. But like I mentioned, your holes might not line up, and you might have to, do some body work on your fairing so you can properly install. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. Life's a risk. Get out there and ride. Later.